Good evening. I want to call to order this meeting of the Wendell Town Board of Commissioners and welcome all of you tonight. We have a large crowd. We're going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Wendell Middle School student Jabba Huang. I hope I said your name correctly. We are excited. This was sent to me by the principal of the school. We are excited to recognize Jabba Huang, one of our amazing 7th grade students at Wendell Middle School. Ralph Waldo Emerson reminds us that, quote, "The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be." According to Jabba's teachers and administrators, he has decided to be respectful, organized, accountable, helpful to others, intrinsically motivated, and self-disciplined. For such a young person to stand out in so many ways means that he has a supportive family at home and at school. I met his mother tonight. But more importantly, he has decided that humanity is important, living up to his own potential is important, and being a model and a leader in our building and in life is important. Jabba does not work at being noticed, but he is noticed because of the incredible work he puts in for others. My goodness, what a fine young man. I enjoyed getting to meet you tonight. I know you're going to do great things. All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Jabba. Our invocation tonight from the Wendell Council of Churches, we're going to hear from Calvary Faith Center and Dennis Calhoun. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for being with us tonight.
Oh, thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you, Madam Mayor, board members, appreciate it. Before we pray, I'd like to highlight two events that are happening in our community. The Lent season is here. Ash Wednesday was last Wednesday, and as part of the Lenten celebration, Wendell Council of Churches sponsors weekly luncheons every Wednesday at noon at Wendell United Methodist Church, and we wanted to make sure that everyone is aware that they're happening and that everyone is welcome to attend. And then they will continue Wednesdays through Lent, and then each day during Holy Week at the Wendell Christian Church. So again, everyone is invited, and we would love to see you there. Second thing I'd like to highlight is on March 13th, which is a Friday at 7 p.m., the Covenant Presbyterian Church Fellowship Hall here in Wendell is going to be turned into a coffee house. We are having a Java Jive band present, and it'll be a time of recreation, enjoyment. Just come out, and again, everyone is invited to come out to that event. Again, that's Friday, March 13th at 7 p.m. at the Covenant Presbyterian Church. So with that, if we could go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here this evening. Thank you for our town leaders. Give them wisdom and understanding as they seek to serve the people of Wendell. We pray for wisdom and clarity as we cast our votes for those we desire to represent us in our county and state governments. Raise up leaders of integrity, character, and wisdom. We pray for our nation and our world. Thank you for the spirit of respect, honor, and human dignity that we've seen these past 2 weeks as athletes from around the world came together to compete and then together celebrate both the victors and the competition itself. Pour out your love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control on our people that only your Holy Spirit can provide. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you again. Do we have any adjustments to the agenda? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All right. We have a motion to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's move into our public comment period. The public comment may participate in the public comment period by signing up at the door on the way in every night, and you have 3 minutes to speak, or you can participate by submitting written statements via email to the town clerk. They need to be received by 5 p.m. on the Friday before the Monday meeting, and please include your full name and address for the record, and the ones that are timely received will be read into the record for 3 minutes. We have no one signed up tonight, but I always like to remind everybody that's available to them. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move into our recognitions, reports, and presentations. Item 4A is a recognition of Wendell Middle School teacher Michael Lotsky. If Mr. Lotsky can come up. I received this from his principal. And I have to tell you, it's a tremendous, it did not escape my notice. He has a whole fan club with him here tonight, which is always kind of nice. Some people even came, he wasn't expecting them, and that's nice. That reflects well on you, so. We are excited to celebrate Michael Lotsky during this town meeting. When I think of Mr. Lotsky, I think of the idea the philosopher Lao Tzu shares to lead people, walk behind them. We first met Mr. Lotsky when he attended a training at our school. We could already see that he was kind, respectful, quiet, reflective, and cooperative as we watched from the sidelines. When Mr. Lotsky approached us about being a potential transfer, we could not have been more excited to welcome him to Wendell Magnet Middle School. And we have never regretted that decision for a moment. Mr. Lotsky was placed on the 7th grade team with all the beginning teachers. While one would think that Mr. Lotsky, as a veteran teacher, would be overtly leading the group, that's not what we saw. We saw a humble leader who asked for others' thoughts, admired their work, and lifted their ideas as being far superior to his own. Mr. Lotsky empowers others to extend their own thinking, develop their own wisdom, and try things that may be uncomfortable and challenging, which created partnership, investment, and exponential growth and confidence in those teachers. Mr. Lotsky models humility openly to others, and he sees the work others put in. His kind emails and text messages from the sideline, and messages from the sideline to both adults and students are meaningful to those who receive them, mostly because we all like to know that we respect and admire and also appreciate our work and effort. Mr. Lotsky is never boisterous or loud. Rather, he leads by walking behind, allowing his actions, values, and beliefs to quietly influence and impact our entire school community. Well, my goodness. We are so very lucky to have you at Wendell Middle School. And we all wanted to invite you here and have this opportunity to recognize you and thank you for all the things that you do for our kids in Wendell. So thank you for that.
Appreciate it. I just, real quick, thank you
Yes,
very much
you
for
have the
taking the
floor.
time to
Yes.
recognize teachers. It's important nowadays, I think. And I can't, all those people back there, that was very nice of them to come. No, I just think it's great you guys recognize. I mean,
It's important.
It goes a long way, and it's appreciated, so.
Thank you for that.
Thank you
See,
all.
look at you lifting me up just because you can't help yourself, can you? Thank you. All right, we're going to move into our public hearings. Item 5A is a public hearing for annexation petition A2511 to annex approximately 1.142 acres, PIN number 17943568852, located at 4931 Drive-In Lane, and we're going to hear from Janine Inguera.
Perfect. Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
And Commissioners. We are going to be looking at the annexation petition A2511, and hopefully you will make a motion to adopt the attached ordinance. Marimi Toussaint of Seedling Mine Daycare has submitted an annexation request for approximately 1.142 acres located at 4931 Drive-In Lane. She's planning to renovate the existing buildings into a daycare and needs to connect to municipal water and sewer. The site is in the town's ETJ and is zoned highway commercial, and that means that she does not need to have the property rezoned to have a daycare on site. Her site plan is under review by the Technical Review Committee. This is a map of the location. There is water and sewer along Wendell Boulevard, and the property is already served by Wendell Homes Fire District. The existing buildings are going to be renovated into a daycare facility. There's nearby town limits, and it's currently in the ETJ. And the applicant is here if you have any questions for me or for the applicant.
Okay, let's open the public hearing. Are there any questions from the board so far? Okay, would the applicant like to say anything, like to be heard?
No, she's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone from the public here tonight that would like to speak in favor or in opposition of the project? All right, nothing from the board? Okay, let's close the public hearing.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve annexation petition A25-11 to annex approximately 1.142 acres, pin number 179-435-6852, located at 4931 Driving Lane.
All right, we have a motion to annex approximately 1.142 acres located at 4931 Drive-In Lane. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Just real quick, I'd hate for you to come all this way and think we don't care. I really appreciate folks who are willing to make investments in our community, and appreciate all that you've done on that front already, and excited to see this, your work continues. Thank you for being here.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. All right. Do we have a motion? We did have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank y'all. Item 5B is an evidentiary hearing on a special use permit, SUP 2504, requested by Maxwell Gill and Lewis Carroll on behalf of Reset Retro Arcade and Bar to allow a bar tavern nightclub use on an existing building located at 32 North Main Street, PIN number 1784609094. And we need to first hear from the town attorney and let him review the special use permit hearing guidelines.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. As you know, and for the benefit of the public, this is an evidentiary hearing or quasi-judicial hearing, which means it's court-like. You don't have the usual discretion that you do with a legislative zoning matter. You're bound by due process rules, such as an impartial decision maker, witnesses are sworn, avoidance of ex parte contacts and conflicts of interest. Certain types of evidence has to be presented by persons with credentials, like property values or engineering matters. And the board's decision is to be based not on preferences, but on the evidence presented at this hearing and whether it meets the criteria in the code.
Okay. So
Madam
in-
Mayor, I have a disclosure.
Okay.
Ex parte conversation, just so for the record we have this. I was in a public venue, and the town attorney can tell me where I need to go astray here or not. I met the applicant through a third party once, and they always ask me what my opinion is. They started the conversation. Once I heard the word bar come out, I told them that I could not listen to that because it would require an SUP. And I understand the public may not know that that's the case, but I say it because I was in a public venue, and if someone else heard it, I want to make sure they're aware that we don't sit and listen. We don't break the rules. We tell them what the rules are when we find out what they're talking about. At that point, I stopped the conversation and left the public venue. And I believe I can remain impartial and continue if that's required.
That's the question. Is your mind made up, or are you willing to hear the evidence and then decide?
Happy to hear the evidence because I stopped the conversation. Thank you.
Anyone who's going to be speaking tonight needs to step forward, even from the public, and be sworn in by the town clerk. The applicants, anyone who may, even if you You can decide not to later, but it's best to come on and do it just in case. Okay, Mr. Coates.
Yep. Good evening, Mayor and board members. We are asking you to hold this evidentiary hearing on a special use permit request by Maxwell Gill and Lewis Carroll on behalf of Reset Retro Arcade to be located at 32 North Main Street. This was the old dance studio that moved across Main Street, and so this is taking that space, and their proposal is to create retro arcade with a bar tavern use as well. The arcade does not need a special use permit. The special use permit is for the bar tavern nightclub use. Amusements indoor, like an arcade, are allowed as a permitted use. For the town of Wendell, bar tavern nightclub means a business where alcoholic beverages are sold for on-site consumption, which is not part of a larger restaurant. I'll show you a map of other SUPs in this immediate neighborhood. While a special use permit is not required for the amusements, there are some additional standards. For the arcade use, no outdoor public address shall be permitted, which can be heard beyond the boundaries of the property. And then windows and doors shall not have tinting that exceeds limitations set by the general statute, and that is for safety for people to view inside of the building. Bar tavern nightclubs also have one additional condition, which states no facility shall be located within 300 feet of a property line of any lot containing a church or school or any residential district. In this case, the closest residential district is over 600 feet away, closest church is more than 700 feet, and the closest school is over 1,000. So it does comply with the UDO for that additional standard. Project setting. As you see on the map on the right, there is a variety of special use permits in the downtown core, this like block and a half of area, everywhere from indoor event venues to other bar, tavern, nightclubs, neighborhood manufacturing, event venue, dance studio. Those are all uses that require a special use that these facilities have all obtained from the town. The parcel that's outlined in red is the parcel they're looking at 32 North Main. This, as I mentioned, was a previous site of Expressions of Worship Dance Studio, which moved across the street this last year, and they renovated their building. There is a barber shop next door, as well as Bearded Bee is in the building behind them. The block also includes other retail, bars, and places of business nearby, from pizza, food to bridal shops and everything, and a large variety. This is what we would call the core of our downtown business community. I'm going to go over each of these special use criteria. You can, on the slide, you can see how the applicants answered the criteria and how staff has answered it. So the first one is that the proposed use does not affect adversely the general plans for the physical development of the town. The applicant states that the proposed use will improve the corner of Main and Campen with revitalization of the building with aesthetic and functional enhancement, will also help to contribute economic development, help support sustainable growth. Staff's comment is the proposed use is consistent with Blueprint Wendell 2030 for the downtown core land uses. Criterion B, the proposed use will not be contrary to the purposes stated in these regulations. The applicant is proposing to renovate the building and have stated they would adhere to all building code and town regulations and obtain permits. The use is not contrary to the other downtown core place type uses that are mentioned in the land use plan. The proposed use C, criteria C, the proposed use will not adversely affect the health and safety of residents and workers. They commit to making every effort to protect and enhance the safety and health of residents and workers, making sure they follow guidelines and industry health standards during construction and operation. Staff, if all applicable permits are obtained, the proposed use should not adversely affect the health or safety of residents and workers in the town. Criterion D, the proposed use will not be detrimental to the use of development of adjacent properties. Since the proposed use is consistent within that downtown core, staff feels it will not be detrimental to the use or the development of adjacent parcels. The adjacent parcels are all active and have occupants and are being used currently. Criterion E, the proposed use will not adversely affected by the existing uses. As I mentioned in that map, there's a wide variety of existing uses in that downtown core. Some have needed special use permits, others have not, but those 2 blocks in that area are very active and have a mixture of businesses. Criterion F, the proposed use will be placed on a lot of sufficient size. This was always an interesting criteria for a downtown core. So the property and the building are the same. There is not excess land in this core. The building and lot have been in existence for many decades. Wake County Fire Marshal will determine the occupancy capacity for the use based on the renovations for the building. The proposed use will not constitute a nuisance or hazard. They're governed by an occupancy capacity, square footage, as well as building code. The use is consistent with other businesses in the downtown core. Criterion H, the standards set forth for each particular use project for which a permit may be granted. The applicant's construction will be performed by a licensed general contractor meeting North Carolina building code and requirements. All aspects will meet fire code, occupancy rating, egress, and inspection requirements. Project design will be performed by a licensed commercial architect that meets all ADA compliance as well as safety requirements. Staff, we are asking that if the board does move forward with granting this special use permit, that 2 conditions be added: that all applicable building permits, laws, and codes are obtained and maintained, and that a temporary use of public space be obtained from the town of Wendell before construction starts. In a downtown setting, when a building and the property are the same boundaries, to set up a dumpster location for renovation or having building materials nearby, we need to be involved in that if you're going to be using public space. And in the downtown core, you don't have a choice. You have to find space nearby. And so we typically work with applicants for all renovation projects on that type of criteria, making sure that the renovation, the demolition, and all that is done in a safe manner, because downtown still needs to function. And so we can't just close off a block or 2. We have to keep it going. So we ask that if you do grant this special use permit, that you do add that condition for the safety of downtown and to work with us. Criteria I, the board may impose or require such additional restrictions. We are asking that you do add that all applicable building permits, laws, and codes are obtained and maintained by the applicant, also that temporary use of public space. Criterion J, the proposed use shall be subject to the minimum area setback in other locations. In the downtown mixed use, the setbacks are the property line. The building sits on those property lines. And they plan to utilize the existing building without changing any of the building dimensions or setbacks. Criteria K, the proposed use shall be subject to the off-street parking and service requirements. They're not proposing to modify or attempt to change any of the off-street parking or service requirements. The parking requirement for entertainment recreation type use is 1 to 2 per 1,000. For that roughly 2,200 square foot building, 2 to 5 spaces are required. The UDO does allow 2 of the on-street parking spaces to count towards their minimum parking requirement, which are their spaces along Main Street, but also spaces in Camp and Row. There's also public parking in a variety of locations, walkable within a block or 2 easily to the business. Downtown core is the classification within the comprehensive plan, which does encourage commercial uses, co-working space, housing, lodging, civic uses, and a variety of event spaces. And so this type of use is consistent with the comp plan. The applicant did hold the neighborhood meeting on November 3rd. Those notes are in your attachments. Staff comments: the planning staff presents the staff analysis, but we do not make a recommendation on a special use permit. However, we are requesting that one condition if the special use permit is approved. The newspaper ad did run for 2 consecutive weeks. Notification was mailed to adjacent property owners, and a public hearing notice was placed at the property. I can field any questions you have at this time. The applicants are here as well.
Okay, let's open the public hearing. Are there any questions from the board?
I do have another question, and Jim, this one's probably for you. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to recuse myself. Mr. Carroll is a personal friend of mine, so I don't know about the project beyond what is in the application, but just for the spirit of transparency.
Does it affect your finances in any way?
No,
Is it a close business relationship,
no,
family relationship?
family.
How close?
I mean, my husband and he are friends.
Friends or family?
Friends.
And I don't think that's
Okay.
a basis to be excused unless it prevents you from making an impartial decision.
I can still make a impartial decision. Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Any other questions from the board about the project? Okay, let's hear from the applicant.
Hello. I haven't presented anything to discuss with you guys tonight, but if you guys have any questions,
Okay.
we're happy to answer them.
Same? You don't have
Yeah.
any? Do y'all have any questions for the applicant?
One quick question. The temporary use of public space, have you guys worked that out so we know what the impact's going to be? Okay, do you know hypothetically what that might be?
We were planning, I mean, I can just speak generally because I'll be handling the construction. The side on Campen Street with the golf cart parking, and we have a side exterior door there as well. We were planning on kind of running everything out that side door and keeping it out of the way of, the main street. That was kind of our plan, but, obviously with the permit that we need, we'll do whatever we need to do to.
Well, what about a dumpster
Oh, yeah, definitely a dumpster.
in the parking spaces?
Probably, yeah, that's what, I was anticipating in the golf cart parking spaces there. Maybe in wintertime, that might be okay, but, we'll do what we need to do to place it properly.
In general, for the board's awareness outside of this process, that's a process that goes through the town manager's office. We review it with all the departments and the applicant. We make sure there's minimal impact on neighboring businesses. We don't just approve particular locations that are requested, but that's a separate process from this that does get reviewed and approved.
Thank you.
By me on your behalf.
Anything else from the board?
I'm just speaking general terms about your project and what you plan on doing. I mean, I'd like to hear more about what your intent is.
Sure. It's retro arcade. That's kind of the main entertainment aspect of the business. So we've, been working on collecting classic arcade games from Galaga, Pac-Man, the ones that hopefully when someone walks in, they engage and connect with something that is nostalgic and takes them back to.
You can say guys of my age. I'm totally fine with that.
I wasn't going to say pinball.
It's quite all right.
say pinball.
Totally get it.
And then obviously have beers and wine and cocktails as well, and create a social atmosphere. Hopefully that people can come and spend time and just enjoy being part of the community. That's really our goal.
Is the intention to have a full bar?
Yes.
Anyone else?
I will just make one additional comment. I know you mentioned something about the parking. Before you even stood up and I saw this tonight, my one suggestion was going to be make sure that everyone understands, and I know this is real early in the process, but make sure everybody understands that there is golf cart and motorcycle parking there. So kind of goes against what you said, but we do get a lot of feedback about that. We have that there to help, and it seems to be abused in some cases. So that's a personal preference and opinion of mine. So just wanted to say that out loud.
Okay.
Anything else from the board? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is the time for citizens, but we had no one else sworn in. So, is there anything else from town staff?
No, I can answer any other questions you may have, but
Okay.
that's it from the town staff perspective.
All right, looks like there aren't any. We'll close the public hearing and wish y'all's pleasure.
Mayor, I'll make a motion.
You do that. There were 2 additional conditions. Did you write those down?
Got those?
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
all right, go.
Make a motion that we approve special use permit SUP 25-04 on behalf of Reset Retro Arcade and Bar to allow a bar, tavern, nightclub use in an existing building located at 32 North Main Street. PIN 178-460-9094 with the following conditions: building permits, laws, and codes maintained. Public space permit from the town is required. Is that correct, Mr. Town Attorney?
And to work with town staff I think he had asked, isn't that what you said? Work with town staff about the use of public space. Okay.
And ensure cooperation with town staff and proper use of town space.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve special use permit request on behalf of Reset Retro Arcade to allow a bar, tavern, nightclub at 32 North Main with the addition of 2 additional conditions: to work with town staff about the use of public space and to apply for and maintain all applicable building permits. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? No. It passes unanimously. Thank y'all. Item 5C is a request to amend the previously approved Plan Unit Development Application, PUD 22-01, Wendell Commerce Center, to PUD 22-01A, Wendell Commerce Center, to revise or sign regulations contained in the document. Ms. Griffin.
Good evening. This one before you tonight is to amend the Wendell Commerce Center PUD that was approved back in 2022. PUD documents, just in general, have 2 separate components. One is a rezoning, which sets forth the criteria in the document, and that is heard before both the planning board and the town board. And also a special use permit, which we will hear next if you decide to go forward with this rezoning portion, which is again a quasi-judicial hearing, just like the one before you. This proposal does amend the regulations of the 257-acre Wendell Commerce Center plan unit development. Currently, large-scale site work underway there, as well as construction of 3 buildings, 1A, 1B, and 1C, that are edging up towards 500,000 square feet total between those 3. The PUD document, when approved, stated that a master sign plan would be submitted that would follow the requirements of Chapter 12 of the UDO. But once the development got underway and they started to look at signage, a request was made for a larger monument sign than is allowed by the UDO. Due to the large scale of the buildings and the project, they feel they need a larger sign for more visibility in that area. And so saying that in the PUD document that it would meet the requirements of Chapter 12 of the UDO would not work if they're requesting the taller monument sign. The proposal, which you got in your packet as well, and I'll show you the language on the next slide, is to change the PUD document. There you see the strike-throughs to eliminate, but to follow all the requirements of Chapter 12 of the UDO with the following exceptions. And that is mainly to increase the maximum height for the signs. We would allow 13 feet tall under the UDO. They are asking for a 20-foot tall monument sign, and they're asking to change it from 1 per street frontage, which is what the UDO says, to 1 per site entry. And this just deals with the monument signage at the the beginning of the project. It doesn't deal with building signage or wayfinding signage or anything like that. They are strictly looking to get a taller monument sign as well as one per site entry instead of just one per road frontage. There you see outlined in red the entirety of the Wendell Commerce project. It's in obviously a large area of commercial and mixed use. Wake Tech, Glennon is near there with commercial and residential as well. There are existing residential and agricultural uses, and the Wendell Falls Collective will be to the south there. The area to the west is a mix of industrial uses as well as the small-scale airport on the other side of 64 there. This is a map of Wendell Commerce Center as it was outlined in the PUD document, with Zone 1 being commercial uses that are up front. Zone 2, sort of a medium-intensity use there in the middle, and then Zone 3 is your more industrial uses, and Zone 4 would be residential in the back. They're not asking for any changes to that. The only thing is the road name has been renamed already, so they did cross through that on the exhibit just to show that the road name has already been changed through there. The intent of any PUD district is to allow for larger developments with integrated plans that include all or some of the following uses: single-family, multifamily, commercial, recreational, civic, industrial, institutional, those kind of things. Again, there are 4 zones here. Zone 1 is the commercial, and you see the uses that could be included there. We have received site plan submittals for a Wawa gas station along the frontage there, as well as a Zaxby's. Zone 2, that kind of middle pie-shaped part, could include multifamily, retail, restaurants, entertainment, distillery, brewery, those type things. Zone 3 is your industrial again, could include lodging, entertainment, recreation, manufacturing, infrastructure, civic, and institutional. Zone 4 could be single-family, multifamily. The applicant has included design criteria for the project itself in the PUD document. Those are not changing with this request, so all of those would remain the same. Not proposing any changes to the uses allowed in the PUD or stormwater buffers, open space, utilities, or transportation requirements. The changes are strictly dealing with the signage portion. Blueprint Wendell 2030 does classify this project as Innovation District. Prior to the initial approval of the PUD document, this area was classified as both innovation and medium residential 2. But when the PUD was approved, the entire area was automatically designated, which is consistent with state law, to an Innovation District place type. The project does meet the characteristics outlined in the description of Innovation District because it includes a mix of industrial, manufacturing, research and development, flex space, retail, restaurants, lodging, breweries, and multifamily, which aligns with the uses and building types within Innovation District. Also has improved open spaces in the form of gathering spaces, walking trails, and parks. The proposed development has included multi-use paths along the major roadways, as well as a dog park, pocket parks, and a transit stop. There you see an outline of the Innovation District place type and the uses that are recommended in there. This was also part of a small area plan during Blueprint Wendell 2030. And there was the small area plan that was part of the comp plan as well. Any recommended change to the zoning map should be accompanied by a statement explaining how the change is or is not consistent with the comp plan and is or is not reasonable in nature. The plan is consistent with Blueprint Wendell 2030 and can be considered reasonable as it assists with the plan goals, economy, market, and economic development E1, support development of key nodes. Economy market, economic development, E3.7, reduce retail leakage and increase spending on businesses here in town. Economic development, E3.4, to focus on job creation. Economic development, E3.3, create space, land, and buildings to meet varied demands. Neighborhoods and housing, NH3, to diversify housing to appeal to different groups. And green space and greenways, goal 2, to expand the park, greenway, and trail network by developing new facilities and connecting to existing ones. Plans are reviewed by our technical review committee as they come in for site plan approval. They did hold a neighborhood meeting virtually on December 22nd about this change to the signage requirements with no surrounding property owners in attendance. Staff's recommendation is that it is consistent with Wendell Blueprint 2030, and it's considered reasonable since it fulfills the plan goals that were previously stated, and therefore we recommend approval of PUD 2201A.
All right, let's open the public hearing. Are there any questions from the board?
The applicant is also here.
Okay,
Got one question, Mayor.
okay.
So I'm going to make an educated guess maybe, and then a question. I'm going to guess that since our UDO is going to be updated in the very near future, that perhaps a somewhat dated UDO didn't anticipate or foresee a project of this size. That's my assumption. Tell me if I'm wrong. But the second part of this is, so we're not reinventing the wheel. Is this consistent with other bills in other close comparable areas that would be, a 20-foot sign is legitimate usage?
The assumption that it was not accounted for in the UDO is accurate. It was larger buildings were accounted for with some more square footage based on the size of the buildings, but I don't think that an industrial park and large tracts like this were anticipated for signage. And that yes, there are surrounding communities that have larger signage. It's just that this one and the way that it was worded to say that it would conform with Chapter 12 of the UDO just would not work out for what they were wanting
One
to do.
follow-up, Mayor. Let me phrase it this way. I trust you guys implicitly. I just don't want blinking welcome to Las Vegas or something, So if staff is in favor to some degree, or you guys have your handle on this, I feel much more comfortable. Thank you.
The applicant is going to show you an example of the sign. It was not, the specific sign wasn't pertinent to the rezoning portion or the special use portion because it could change when it comes back in. But it is internally illuminated with no flashing lights or anything like that that meets the ordinance other than the height.
One, clarification for me too. And I know that this was so thorough and in depth, but can you confirm, is the decision we're making today on whether or not they can have a larger sign or not?
It is to amend the plan unit development document
Okay.
to allow for that.
Okay.
The sign application itself will be a staff level approval.
Got you.
But currently, we cannot approve that sign due to the height restriction.
I may have more questions when the applicant comes up.
That's fine. Anyone else? Okay, would the applicant like to be heard?
Good evening, Matthew Carpenter with Parker Poe, 301 Fayetteville Street in Raleigh, here on behalf of the applicant. Got a couple folks with me, Michael Kane with Atwell, our civil engineer, and then Chris Judd with Design Element, our sign designer. And I appreciate the overview from Stacy. The only thing I would add to the history is that there was also a development agreement approved for this project with some economic development incentives and other requirements in there. That was in 2023. And so it's hard to believe it's been that long since the initial approvals were granted. And it may be unusual for a case to come back, but I think it is helpful because you can see that some of these buildings have been actually delivered and these spaces are being leased. And so I think the developer here has made some really good progress. on what was the initial vision of Wendell Commerce Center and of the Innovation District in the long-range plans. And so, again, Stacy was extremely accurate with how this came about. The PUD text document governs development of this site and has specific provisions that apply to this site. And what's common with these documents is that there are references all over the place to the UDO standards. And that's because at the zoning stage, the site hasn't been fully designed. And so we don't have signs designed, we don't have specific building design and layout. And so if there are UDO provisions that are problematic, sometimes those arise later in the process after some of these site elements have been designed. And so that's exactly what happened here. You can see on your screen the two specifically problematic provisions. The first is the height of the tall monument sign. And so the proposal is to increase the max height from 13 feet to 20 feet. And again, it's only for those two areas that are shown with blue stars at the top of the screen. So the concern is the tall monument signs on Wendell Boulevard. And again, it's for site access purposes, for visibility for traffic entering the site, specifically large trucks that might be making deliveries or picking things up, to prevent them from missing the site, driving down Wendell Boulevard, and having to turn around. I think Wendell Boulevard is in some places as wide as 180 feet of right-of-way. And so the 20 feet helps with the visibility from both sides of Wendell Boulevard. And the second reason is just for sort of continuity in the branding of the overall Wendell Commerce Center. I think it's helpful in that aspect too. And you can see on this plan there are other signs across the project. All of those will meet the UDO requirements. So we're not requesting any other changes or any other changes to the documents approved in 2022 that were ultimately determined to be consistent with the long-range plans and approved by the board. This is a rendering of the sign. You can see the dimensions there and the overall design that Chris will speak a little more about in the special use permit portion. But that's generally what it will look like. And then this is specifically a night rendering because we thought there may be a question about the, what it would look like at night. And it is generally backlit and won't be very bright. And I also think it's important to recognize that along Wendell Boulevard, it's really a commercial corridor. And so there aren't a lot of residences, single-family homes nearby. And so I think it helps with that concern. These are just some examples from other similar projects of this size in other areas, and you can see that they each have their own unique design language of sorts, but they are of a similar size to what we're proposing here for the same reasons that we're talking about, for visibility, for branding, and for the overall project to have its own identity. And then this section of the UDO is the spirit and purpose language for the sign ordinance, and I thought it was helpful here to see that even though it is a little older now, the ordinance calls out specifically the purpose of the sign regulations is to encourage the effective use of signs as a means of communication in the town, but also to help and promote businesses and economic development. And so that's really the justification here, is to allow the Wendell Commerce Center to continue with its leasing, its visibility, and to capitalize on the success that they've already had. And then these are some of the policies in the long-range plans that the project is consistent with. And then on the right side of your screen, you can see the Innovation District in the community plan. And so with that, we respectfully request your approval and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
I do. Thank you for explaining. I think in Stacy's presentation, it was noted that these were not going to be used for wayfinding. However, you had mentioned that this was so that trucks could see where they were going a little bit better.
Right.
That feels like wayfinding. Can you explain the difference?
Yeah, Stacy can correct me. I believe the wayfinding is a specific term defined in the UDO, and these signs even though they may be used to see the site. They're tall monument signs, which is how
Mm-hmm.
the UDO defines it.
I would agree. I'm sorry about that. Wayfinding internal to the site.
Sure.
Like, turn here for whatever business.
Okay.
Or no trucks allowed this way. Or
Got you.
things like that.
Okay,
And I think some of the yellow dots on this slide may be wayfinding signs. I can't remember which color wayfinding was, but
Okay.
the tall monument signs are what we're asking for the height relief from.
perfect.
Yep.
Then, has there been any sort of visibility studies done in terms of, I'm thinking, with the trucks coming in and out, these are really, really tall signs, and making
Right.
sure that visibility is appropriate for 64?
There have not been to this point, but there are site distance requirements in the UDO and from NCDOT, and we're not asking for any relief from any of those. So we'll have to meet those. And I believe there are also requirements that it has to be a certain distance from the right-of-way for that same reason. And those are additional UDO requirements that we're not modifying. And so it'll still be set back from the right-of-way as required by the UDO, and then have to meet the site distance.
But that's based on a 13-foot sign, correct?
That's right, but it's not a height issue with the visibility, it's a width issue, because
Okay.
you're trying to look to your left when you turn, or right, for that matter.
Okay.
So.
And then my last question, sorry, everyone, don't mean to jeopardize. Oh, it just escaped me. I'll come back to it.
I've got a whole other hearing section, so.
Yeah.
Anyone else have a question, comment?
I will add that the site distance triangles along Wendell Boulevard, since it's a DOT road, they're 10 by 70, so it does set that back an additional 10 feet, and you have to be able to see for that 70-foot distance unimpeded. And so anytime we get a sign permit, they have to place on the site plan that site distance triangle, so that we make sure that the sign is located outside of that site distance triangle.
Got you. Thank you. I do, oh, go ahead, Joe.
I was going to wait till you're done.
I just had one more question. You kind of mentioned, the branding and the aesthetic of the sign and whatnot. Is there any detriment to the brand if the sign is not 20 feet tall?
I don't know if I would word it as a detriment. I think
Implications?
it's better for the branding if it is taller for visibility.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Just one thing to clarify. We have, we're going from one per street frontage to one per site entry. So if I'm looking at this map, does that mean we're minimizing the number? Essentially?
Ordinarily, they would only be allowed one along Wendell Boulevard.
Okay, so entry one on Wendell Boulevard, so we're saying two instead of.
That is correct.
Okay. Just want to clarify that. Thank you.
That's correct.
Two signs taller.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and I will speak just as a comment, as a board member that approved this project a long time ago. We were extremely excited about I guess, $300-ish million project at that time. That number has grown quite a bit since then. So big projects, big buildings need big signs. So we've got a busy road there for sure, so.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public who would like to have any input, pro or con? All right, anything else from the board? All right, we'll close the public hearing.
Alrighty. Madam Mayor, I will make a motion to approve plan unit development application. We're going to amend it. We're going to amend application PUD 22-01 Wendell Commerce Center to PUD 22-01A Wendell Commerce Center to revise sign regulations contained in the attached document.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to amend the previously approved PUD application to Wendell Commerce Center to revise the sign regulations contained in the document. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Nay.
Okay. That passes 4-1. All right, item 5D is an evidentiary hearing on a special use permit, SUP 2201A, to request an amendment to the previously approved PUD 2201 Wendell Commerce Center to PUD 2201A Wendell Commerce Center to revise the sign regulations contained in the document. And let's hear from the attorney one more time.
Mayor, I won't repeat all the earlier comments, but it is the same process. It is another quasi-judicial evidentiary hearing, so it's the same exact process as before.
Thank you. All right, so anyone who wishes to speak needs to step forward to be sworn.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, let's hear from staff.
Good evening again. This is the second portion of an approval for a PUD or a PUD amendment, and that is the special use permit, again, for Wendell Commerce Center. And looking to, the previously approved PUD also had the special use, which was SUP 2201. So we're looking to amend that to SUP 2201A. Again, large-scale site work is underway, and the master plan, master sign plan is what it was in question here. And again, to change the same language that you just saw previously to account for an increase in the sign height from 13 feet to 20 feet, and to change from 1 per street frontage to 1 per site entry. The applicants provided their responses to the SUP general requirements, which was in your packet as well. Staff did evaluate the SUP criteria, and what follows is criteria A, that the proposed use does not affect adversely the general plans for the physical development of the town as embodied in the ordinance or in any plan or portion thereof. The PUD was previously approved and met all SUP criteria at the time. Again, the only change that's proposed here is the sign regulations. Criteria B, the proposed use will not be contrary to the purposes stated for the regulations. The UDO does allow for larger signage on larger buildings. However, a large-scale business park like we were talking about before, like Wendell Commerce Center, was not forecasted at the time that the sign ordinance was drafted. Criteria C, the proposed use will not adversely affect the health and safety of residents or workers. Signage, while taller, will still be required to be outside of the sight distance triangles that we were talking about previously at intersections. Criteria D, the proposed use will not be detrimental to the use of development of adjacent properties or other neighborhood uses. These proposed signs will be within the boundaries of the project and should not affect adjacent properties in a negative way. The proposed use will not be affected adversely by existing uses. This site is within a commercial node. The proposed use will be placed on a lot of sufficient size to satisfy space requirements. Again, this lot is more than 250 acres. Criteria G, the proposed use will not constitute a nuisance or hazard because of the number of persons who will attend or use the facility, vehicular movement, noise, or fume generation. Signs will not have any users, obviously, vehicle trips, noise, or fume generation. It does have to meet the other criteria that we were talking about previously as well, like no flashing signs, like it can't look like a police car, so it couldn't have flashing blue lights on it, for instance. Criteria H, the standards set forth for each particular use or project for which a permit may be granted have been met. All building and town codes for signs will need to be met. That will require a sign permit as well as building permits for both signs. Criteria I, the board may impose or require additional restrictions or conditions as may be necessary to protect the health and safety of workers and residents. Of course, the board can impose any conditions at its discretion. Criteria J, the proposed use shall be subject to the minimum area, setback, and other location requirements. Signs, again, must be outside of the right-of-way and outside of the site distance triangle. Criteria K, the proposed use shall be subject to off-street parking and service requirements of these regulations. Signs don't have a parking requirement, so that one is met in that way. Again, they did hold a neighborhood meeting on December 22nd with no surrounding property owners in attendance. We do not, as staff, present an opinion or a recommendation on special use permits, with just the staff analysis that you have seen before you. We do run that 2 consecutive weeks in the newspaper, as well as post the site and send out letters to adjacent property owners, which were done on the dates that you see there on your screen. I can answer any questions you might have, and again, the developer is here.
Okay, let's open the public hearing. Any questions from the board? Okay, let's hear from the applicant.
Good evening again. Matthew Carpenter with Parker Poe on behalf of the applicant. Again, thanks to Stacy for the overview. Well, how far? Oh, the other way.
Back way,
Okay. Did I go too far again? Sorry.
I got you.
There it is. Okay.
How far back? You want to go?
That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So again, the special use permit standards that you just saw on the screen, most of those are written towards the evaluation of an entire PUD development. And so most of the applicability of most of those standards has not changed at all with this amendment request, because we're not changing the proposed uses, the intensities, the densities, the traffic improvements, the infrastructure improvements. Those are all staying the same, and many of those have been installed and constructed. And so really, in this presentation, we'll just focus briefly on how the proposed amendments to the sign ordinance fit within those standards. And so for that, I'd like to call Mr. Judd up to testify.
Good evening. I am Chris Judd at 409 Holden Forest Drive. Sorry, I just moved here to Youngsville, North Carolina. I've been with Design Element for the year and a half, but I've been in the sign industry for 10 years, mostly focused in mass transit, public transit, wayfinding and right-of-way usage, in construction and design. So
I'd like to tender Mr. Judd as an expert in sign design.
Thank you.
yes, okay. So looking at the placement here for, again, I'm just going to really echo quite a bit to what Matthew spoke on, that the 2 elements that we're looking at for the 2 stars are going to be our request for the location of the monument signs at Lot 1 and Lot 6. And then the red and yellow, just to identify for those that were asking earlier, the yellow is going to be identifying those buildings of the tenants that will be using those locations. And then the red signage will indicate address numbers throughout for shipping and receiving as you go about the property. So really, I guess how we can talk about how this sign was really first designed came about with the branding that was brought on by the Oppidan team and Summit Real Estate for Wendell Commerce Center, looking at the usage in their branding and how it speaks to what will be used here throughout the course of the property is going to match a lot of how their buildings are already going to be presented and built. Speaking on the innovation district this will be, this sign really represents a modern touch and approach to how that looks. It is not loud, it is complementary to the site itself. And then on the nighttime rendering, I knew there was a question about how this sign would be illuminated. So what we've done is we've actually just taken the best contrast value that we can provide here to allow just for a soft halo lighting around those letters that you'll see. It'll be just a nice soft glow. And then for the architectural element that's on the right, that will have just a soft light blue glow. Nothing that's going to be projecting out more than 2 to 3 feet. So it really is just kind of an ominous touch to the sign itself. And this will be constructed on top of a 2-foot brick and mortar base. constructed on a concrete pad with a singular steel structural pole that already meets engineering and wind loads and structural. Anything else? Okay, great.
So again, just to revisit the approval criteria, you heard from staff and from us that we're not proposing any other changes in the PUD in terms of the density, uses, or infrastructure, and that that proposal and the permitted uses under the PUD were found by the board in 2022 to be consistent with the SUP standards. And then you heard from Mr. Judd specifically about the design of the sign, and how, you know, it won't have a negative impact on adjacent properties. And so altogether, the project is consistent with the SUP standards, and we respectfully request your approval. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, anything else from the board?
Mr. Judd, just because you're here, a question about how it was going to sit. Is it going to be at like cat-a-corner? Like how is it going to, and then is it double-sided?
It is going to be double-sided.
Okay.
And as far as how it'll be perpendicular.
Okay.
To, it won't be pitched, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
To the eye view. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Anything
Sorry, I should
else?
probably ask any other questions.
Yeah, that's okay. Anything else from the board? Any other questions,
Okay, thank you.
comments? All right, we'll close the public hearing.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the special use permit, SUP 22-01A, regarding the previously approved PUD, PUD 22-01A, Wendell Commerce Center, to revise sign regulations in the PUD document.
So we have a motion to approve the special use permit request to amend the previously approved PUD 2022-01 to 2201A, Wendell Commerce Center, to revise the sign regulations contained in the document. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. All right, we'll move into our administrative items. Item 6A is the approval for the Wendell Brownfield Program Task Order 24, Phase 1 Environmental Site Assessment for 0 Old Quarry Road and 319 Allegro Road.
Good evening, Mayor and board members. We're asking your approval to authorize the town manager to sign the task order. Task Order 24 is under the Brownfield program for Geosyntec. The contract, we have one of the properties under contract for purchase for a future park site, and so we have a due diligence period, and the Brownfield funds can be used to do that Phase 1 environmental, and so we're asking that task order be approved. I can field any questions you have. The not-to-exceed amount is $7278 for the project.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board? All right, do I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the task order and authorize the town manager or his designee to sign.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to approve the task order and authorize the town manager or his designee to sign. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. All right, thank y'all. We'll move into our other business. Update on board committees by town board members. We have one tonight, Campo, Commissioner Eatman.
Just briefly, we had a board meeting last week. It was relatively standard as Campo planning meetings go, with the addition of a just thrilling presentation on winter weather prep. And it was timely considering the last couple months we've had, but it did also bring mid-70s that day in the weather that we had on Wednesday. So I think we should just have weekly winter weather prep presentations from DOT staff next winter, and then it'll never snow. That's all.
Okay, we'll move to our commissioners' reports and start with Commissioner Deloach. Yeah.
I will say I made it all meeting. Yesterday, Jack Hughes showed up with broken teeth and a bloody mouth and still made it happen for America. So I coughed some cough syrup down and showed up for the good of the cause tonight. So go America, go Wendell. I do want to remind folks, this week we've got, we talked about it last meeting, we have drop-ins regarding traffic, crosswalks, et cetera. Big Falls, Taylor Road, and Hollybrook Road. Tomorrow, Eastern Wake Senior Center, 5 to 7 p.m. If you have opinions, ideas, thoughts, questions, feel free to show up. Again, Eastern Wake Senior Center, 5 to 7. That's tomorrow. And Wednesday, the 25th, in the Raleigh Room. That's at the farmhouse in Wendell Falls. Go down the stairs and around the building. The actual farmhouse will be closed starting at 5 o'clock. So if you want to be a part of that, that one is Wednesday, again, the 25th from 5 to 7. So I've had a few folks reach out. I've sent that information to them, but if you're watching tonight, make sure you get that on your calendar, just to reiterate. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Benson?
Yep, I'd just like to remind everybody that this Saturday, I believe, is the last day to early vote for the March elections coming up, and local elections matter so much. So I'd like to just make sure you all get out to the polls, whether it's early or on Election Day in March.
Thank you. Commissioner Eatman?
And I had the same note. You can early vote right here in town at the community center here in the town park until 3 o'clock on Saturday. So please do.
Commissioner Honeycutt?
I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago in my living room, a couple people met with me and said, Braxton, is there some way we can start live theater in Wendell? And I'll say they have gone so far beyond me. I was blown away this weekend. So if you have a minute, there's one more weekend. Big Charm Players is putting on The Odd Couple, the female version. Director Joe Burnsworth, Gary, Patty, their whole team just blew me away. I felt like I was in Groundlings back in L.A. back in the day, and I was just shocked that we're surprised or pleased that it's now in Wendell. So if you want to support live local theater, do so. 2 more thank yous that really deserve this. As I was walking around the back, I saw Roger backstage, and I mean, so Roger, thank you for letting them do this, and Mr. Paul White, you're in the building. Thank you, sir, for allowing one more asset of Universal or whoever owns it to let us use it, because we appreciate it. So Roger, thank you for working, good gosh, a 14-hour day 3 times in a row, and thank you, Mr. White, for letting us use the building. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Ingalls?
Well, Commissioners Benson and Eatman definitely stole part of my thunder on voting, because I talked about it 2 weeks ago. I want to, yes, that at that point, early voting was about to open. Now we're in the home stretch of early voting, and it does end 3 p.m. at the Wendell Community Center on Saturday. But then you can vote next Tuesday, just like you normally do at your local precinct. Commissioner Honeycutt and I attended the Central Pines Regional Council Regional Day on Friday in Durham, and there were a number of interesting presentations, including about the history of RTP and the future of RTP, but also about we had a visitor from Loudoun County, Virginia, which was kind of on the leading edge of the demand for data centers well before AI, and he's become kind of a leading expert on how counties and local governments deal with the demand and from a policy standpoint, and he's put together a series of recommendations that he's made public on his own website. So if any members of the public are interested in what his thoughts are on how to deal with that issue, certainly I can forward that presentation on. And then I want to reiterate Commissioner Honeycutt's recommendation of The Odd Couple. There are 3 more performances this coming weekend. I was there yesterday and quite enjoyed it. Glad to see local theater beginning to thrive here in our neck of the woods.
Where's that being held?
The Old Town Hall.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are 3 more Friday and Saturday nights at 7:30, and then 2 p.m. on Sunday. And you can get tickets. It's not an easy URL. It's a ticketlever.com/something. But you can find that on Big Charm Players' social media presences.
I have two quick reminders. Friday before things happening before we meet again. We're getting to that time of year where there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things to do. The first is Friday, March 6th, the 4th Annual Community Health Fair from 10 to 2 at the Wendell Community Center. There are going to be free screenings and food trucks and a bunch of vendors and things like that. So I urge you to attend that. And also, the next day, Saturday, March 7th, one of my favorite events, Princesses in the Park. It's at 4 o'clock at the Wendell Community Center. It's always fun, always cute. Love seeing all the little girls dressed up, and I always get tickled at the occasional little brother I see there dressed up like Batman or Spider-Man, who got dragged along and probably misled where he was going, but he's there and being a good sport. So it's always fun. It's always a fun time. So I urge you to go and bring your kids, and it's free, both free events. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All right, we're adjourned.